Imagine paying Mr. Advisor a fee to give you money advice, and then he turns around and double dips, rips you off by recommending index annuities so that he can further fatten his wallet. I mean, would you pay a used car salesman a fee to select a car for you off his lot? Of course not. But that's kind of what it's like. Now, in my other videos, I've already talked about how non-fiduciary advisors, such as brokers, are a danger to your savings. That we know for sure. If you go to one of these free advisors for money advice, case closed. They're going to try and sell you crap products like annuities, non-traded REITs, actively managed mutual funds, etc. About 85% of investment professionals in the U.S. are not fiduciaries. These people are sharks. They're nothing more than salesmen. But believe it or not, there's actually fiduciaries, fee-based fiduciary advisors who can be equally, if not more, dangerous to your financial health, even though legally they're supposed to have fiduciary duty to you. They're supposed to make recommendations in your best interests, but all too often they don't. So how is this possible? And the reason is that fiduciary laws don't go far enough to protect investors. In the eyes of the law, it's okay to push index annuities on clients if they fit certain very loose criteria. And for proof of this, all you have to do is turn on your radio, for example, KABC in Los Angeles on the weekends, and you will hear some of these fee-based fiduciary advisors aggressively using phony arguments, straw man arguments, shell games to aggressively sell index annuities. And the sales pitches are just as ruthless and deceptive as the sales pitches used by non-fiduciaries. You can't differentiate the two. But so these guys are on the radio boasting that they legally work in the best interests of their clients simply because they're fiduciaries. Wow, what a great cover for a commission-hungry salesman who wants to leech off of your savings. They hold up the fiduciary shield. I'm selling these crap financial products, and you can trust me because I'm a fiduciary. What a crock. And the media is hailing this new fiduciary rule that Obama pushed for that's supposed to go into effect on April 10th, 2017 as a big step forward, but unfortunately this new rule doesn't ban the sale of annuities such as index annuities. All it has done is made it more difficult to sell these products that typically pay 7 to 10% commissions. And here's living proof that this fiduciary rule won't stop advisors from selling them. According to Think Advisor, which caters to the financial services industry, they've got an article blatantly entitled, "How to Sell Fixed Index Annuities Under the DOL Fiduciary Rule." And here's a quote. "A careful investigation of the product features and examination of the client's risk profile and financial goals can give the savvy professional advisor an edge in continuing to sell these popular products." This article perfectly sums up the intentions of financial advisors. They start with the goal of selling index annuities, then work backwards. Instead of doing what they're legally supposed to be doing, which is to start by working in the best interests of the client, they're trying to figure out creative ways to justify continuing to sell them. How can I cover my tracks so that I won't get sued for selling these index annuities? And so how will they do that? Number one, by not educating investors about diversification into bonds, because education about diversification into bonds is bad for business. As soon as conservative investors understand that bonds smooth out stock market volatility and that by owning a bond-heavy portfolio, they don't have to worry about their portfolio dropping 36% like it did back in 2008, as soon as they realize that history says that a low-risk bond stock portfolio should easily, consistently, and substantially beat an index annuity, all of a sudden, they're not interested in that illiquid index annuity that Mr. Fee-Based Advisor is trying to sell. So lack of education, number one. Number two, Mr. Fee-based advisor is going to ask leading questions. They might say, are you concerned with stock market volatility? How much risk do you really want to take? A lot of crazy risk? Or do you want to be a safe investor so that you don't experience another market crash like 2008? And most investors are stupid. They'll agree with Mr. Advisor's leading questions. Everybody understands the danger of taking on too much risk, but very few people understand the danger of taking on too little risk. Like with an index annuity, which little do they know is going to return between 1% and 3%. And so you ask the average investor, how much risk do you want to take? And they'll say, yes, I want an investment that is safe. And as soon as you say that to Mr. Annuity Salesman, you've basically just given him a license to sell you an index annuity. And the last question that Mr. Annuity Salesman will ask you, he'll say, you're not going to need this money for the next 10 years, are you? And if you say, well, I might, then he'll say, well, how much? And again, he's working backwards with the goal of getting you to put as much money as possible into that annuity. And if he was being honest, if he was really working in your best interest, he would say to you, liquidity is critical. There is no way to predict whether or not you might need to get your money back. There's a million reasons why you might need to get it back. A lawsuit, your wife, son, daughter, grandkid has a medical emergency and requires an expensive surgery, and Blue Cross only pays 80%. Heck, the stock market might crash and you might want to take advantage of the sale. But that's why annuities are inferior financial products and index funds are far superior. You don't need to lock your money in prison for a minimum of 10 years. And for very little risk, you can not only retain 100% liquidity of your money, but with history as our guide, with index funds, you should easily beat the annualized return on investment that you would otherwise get with an index annuity. But the problem is that index funds don't pay commissions, and financial advisors have no financial incentive to recommend index funds. So the bottom line is that if you need money advice, always remember that you can never be sure if that fee-based fiduciary advisor is making recommendations that are in your best interests or in their own best interests. The solution is to go to a fee-only fiduciary advisor on a one-time or one-task basis to come up with a personalized game plan, or use a light service company like Vanguard, or use a robo-advisor, many of which are free.